So today I'm going to talk to you about the last part of our project, which is stitching. So you've painted your project and then you've gone over your whole drawing with the black Sharpie marker, and you have pulled the tape off and removed it from its cardboard base. So the next step is the stitching, and I love stitching, and I want to show you today how you're going to stitch. Now the first thing you need to do is get a needle. I have my needles in these sponges. I want you to be super careful with them when you get them from the supply table because they are sharp. So you want to make sure you're being super careful with them. The next thing you need to do is, I've got my embroidery floss over on the supply table, and it comes in all of these different colors, and you're going to pick a color that you would like to work with. So I am looking, I think what I'm going to do is do maybe some yellow in here. So I'm going to select the yellow. You're going to go ahead and take it from its baggie. And then I want to talk to you really quickly about how much you will need. Sometimes I have just some strips that somebody else has used, and sometimes it's on, you know, the whole spool. So you'll just need to go ahead and get the right amount. Whenever I am selecting the thread, what I want to do is I want to take the thread, I want to start up at my shoulder and go all the way down to the end of my hand. And that is going to give me the right amount that I want. And I'm going to go ahead and cut it. Okay, and I'm going to set that aside. Now, the next part is threading your needle. Now, we are using these needles that have a nice wide eye. That's called the eye. It does have a nice wide eye. If you can go ahead and just thread your needle like that, you can. If you are having trouble with that, I have these needle threaders. What you're going to do, let me move this so you can see. What you're going to do is you're going to take the tip of that pipe cleaner threader, and you're going to just go ahead and put it right inside the eye of the needle. Do you see how I did that? Then you're going to take your thread and put it through, and if you pull it on, it usually gives you a nice wide area to put that in. So I'm going to put it right through. So do you see how I put this pipe cleaner through the eye of the needle? I've now put my thread on, and when I pull this out, what's going to happen is my thread is automatically threaded onto the eye of the needle. Then what I like to do is I like to pull this and have the two ends meet. Do you see how my two ends meet? And down at this end, we're going to need to tie a knot. Now, I'm sure many of you have different ways to tie a knot. I've got a simple trick. What I like to do is I like to take those and I like to twist them around my finger 2 times. And then I roll it. And you can see as I'm rolling it and pulling it off my finger, I pull it down, and then there's a knot at the end. Okay, so I'm going to show you one more time how you're going to do that. Let's pretend like this is on my needle. I'm going to match up the two ends just like this. I'm going to wrap it around my finger 2 times, roll it off the end of my finger, and pull. And then there will be a knot. Now, whenever you're stitching, you've always got to start from the underneath part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come underneath here, and I'm going to start it right about here. And I'm going to poke my needle through, and you're going to see that knot is going to stay on the back. Then I do all my stitching on the front, and let me show you what I mean by that. When you're stitching with a needle, I went under, I stitch up, then I go back down. I stitch up and I go back down. I can do all of that from the front of my artwork. And let me show you. I'm going to stitch down, come right back up, stitch down, and come right back up. I did 2 stitches, so if you can see there, I did 2 stitches. Now I'm going to pull this through, and you're going to see the stitches on here. and I pull it flat. So you can see those 2 stitches are right here. I'm going to stitch a couple more times. 1, 2. Now, you might be wondering, Mrs. Kearns, where am I going to put my stitches? I'm not sure what kind of stitches my artwork needs. Let me just tell you, one thing you can do is you can stitch around or in any of your painting. You may want to do some stitches, like down here I could do some stitches down in the sand. You really think about using those stitches as almost like a marker or a pen or a colored pencil, putting even more lines into your artwork. You can see this with this one. I'm just going to go straight up here. Notice I've worked from the top. I haven't turned it over. I just go down, back up, and I pull it nice and tight each time. Each time that you pull a stitch, you want to pull it nice and tight. Now, I also want you to notice each one of my stitches is about the same size. That's important. I want those stitches to be consistent. That means the same each time. So I'm going to continue with my stitches. Once I finish this, I will have a picture of this on the slideshow so you can see it finished. Good luck with your sewing. Oh, the last thing that you need to know is when you finish, let's say I am going to finish right now my stitching. When you finish, you're going to pull it through the back, and let me show you. I'm going to push it through the back. I'm going to turn this over so I'm on the back. And then what I'd like you to do, I'm not even going to have you tie it off. I'm just going to have you cut it and just leave a little bit hanging. If you would like to tie these 2 together and put a little knot, that's fine. Or you can just leave them hanging like this. All right, have a great time stitching on your artwork today.